Here's 5 reasons to stay away from oceanfront property. What's going on, guys? It's Dale with DR Deals, and today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should stay away from oceanfront property. Let's get right into it in no particular order. Reason number 1, saltwater corrosion. While we all love the ocean and the beautiful views, that's a different type of water. It's salt water, and this salt water causes corrosion very quickly. So some of your metal, appliances, things like that, they are affected heavily versus if there was a home far away from the water. So this is one reason you may not want to touch a property that is close to the ocean. This salt water can damage appliances. You may have to replace your TVs and your fridges and your dishwashers sooner than normal. One thing you may have to focus on is the metal and the paint. It'll need to be painted sooner than normal houses, and you may need to buy marine grade type things that can handle the harsh salt water. The next thing you want to consider is erosion. The beach naturally erodes, and sometimes that shoreline, it can get further, but it can get closer. So you want to make sure you're buying a home with enough space and shoreline, because sometimes you can wake up one morning and the beach can disappear. So you want to buy a house that sits far enough from that shoreline. Now here in Dominican Republic, you're required to be so far from the shoreline when you're building a new house. So that kind of helps with that. But you want to think long term when you're buying this property. If you buy a property that's maybe grandfathered in, that sits right up on the water, where will it be in 20 years? So you want to keep that in mind. Erosion of the shoreline is something real when it comes to oceanfront property. And of course, hurricanes, flooding risk. You're right there on the water. You got a front line, right? So that's something you want to keep in mind when you're considering an oceanfront home. Now, you want to make sure you're building with a certain standard of windows. And here in Dominican Republic, they're building with brick, concrete, and rebar. So the structure of the home typically will remain intact, but you want to make sure you have the proper windows and things that can withstand hurricane force winds. So this is something to consider when you're looking at building an oceanfront property or buying an oceanfront property. Humidity. When you're buying a house in a warm place like Dominican Republic on the water, you're going to have much more humidity than a normal place that may be in a more fresher area. So you have to make sure your home is properly ventilated so the air can flow through. If you're going to be leaving the house locked up, you want to make sure someone can attend to it, because the humidity can grow mold. And sometimes people leave their home for 4 months and come back and everything's green. It's covered in mold. So you want to consider that when you're looking at an oceanfront property. And the last one is the overall maintenance. Having an oceanfront home is kind of like having a Mercedes or a Bentley or Rolls Royce. These homes require more maintenance than your normal car or vehicle would, just like these homes. So these homes are going to require you to paint it a little more often than you would a normal home. You may have to replace some metal and some banisters, like we say, TVs and things like that. So these are some of the things you have to consider when buying an oceanfront property. In all, these are 5 things that may turn you off from buying an oceanfront home. But for me, however, I still think it's the number one investment. When you think about the Caribbean, when you think about these warm places, the first thing that comes in your head is the beach, the beautiful blue water, and that'll always give this home value. See, they can have a lot of land mass where they can continue to build and increase the supply, and life is about supply and demand. However, the oceanfront homes will still remain finite because there's only so much shoreline that can be built upon. So oceanfront homes, in my opinion, is still the best investment that you can make in a place like the Caribbean. Beautiful ocean home. You get premium rents. It's going to stand out. When you go on to VRBO or Airbnb or something like that, and you say, I want a 3-bedroom house or 4-bedroom house in this city, there's going to be over 1,000 listings that come up. You can click one filter that says oceanfront, and it's going to probably eliminate 80% of the people, if not 90. That's the space you want to be in. So oceanfront homes, in my opinion, is still the best value you can get when you're looking at the Caribbean. If you're thinking about owning the Caribbean, maybe even an oceanfront home, feel free to reach out to me. Let's schedule a consultation. We can put you in the right property at the right price. I appreciate you guys watching. Meet me at the beach or the bank. I'm out.